Frank Mir made his UFC debut when he was only 22.
Now looking for the submission.
An armbar submission of celebrated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion Roberto Traven.
Things were going well for him at the beginning of my career.
Look at that, look at that. Can he finish him to death? How good was that?
A lot of quick wins. Kind of catapulted me up.
The kid was so talented. We're putting him in there against good guys. He's literally walking right through these guys. Submitting guys left and right.
In June of 2004, he was matched up with 6'8" Tim Sylvia for the vacant UFC heavyweight crown. Sylvia, undefeated in 16 fights, was a heavy favorite.
Everybody thought he was pretty unbeatable due to his height, his range, his striking ability, his ability to nullify the takedown.
That looks like a broken arm to me.
Broke his arm, you know?
Not only was he UFC heavyweight champion, he was thought to be the most dominant heavyweight in all of mixed martial arts.
He's on top of the world. Young guy, good-looking, educated kid, speaks well.
I want to give the crowd what they want to see. If they want to see the guy get his arm totally off, I'll rip it off.
Then, in one fateful moment, it all came crashing down.
He was driving his motorcycle home one night and got hit.
I just felt like I was being dragged along, like I was just skipping and rolling at the same time, and caught the sidewalk on the back of my head.
15 minutes later, his brother called me and said, Frank was just hit by a car. Frank flew 75 feet.
Mir's left femur was broken in 2 places. Nearly all of the ligaments in the knee were destroyed.
He went to 2 different doctors, the best in Las Vegas, and both doctors told him that he would never fight again.
They told me fighting's a foregone conclusion. I'm talking about, you know, normal, everyday walk to your car without your knee buckling. Could barely walk without a cane. I was in a lot of pain and agony all the time.
His leg couldn't do what it did before. And the more he started trying to do stuff, the more depressed and the more self-destructive he started becoming.
I lost my identity. My identity was being a martial artist. Now I was half a cripple. This was why I got up in the morning, and now it was taken away from me.
He didn't want to leave the house. He became very angry. It was horrible. They gave him pain pills for the pain, and then he started drinking alcohol. And then the more pain pills he would take, the more depressed he would get.
I had no reason not to drink. I had no reason to treat my body with respect or with care.
Well, I was afraid that he was going to kill himself. Maybe he was going to OD. I don't know. It was bad.
17 months after the accident, still hobbled and out of shape, Frank Mir returned to the octagon against newcomer Marcio Pedapano Cruz. The result was embarrassing.
Fight back! I'm going to stop it!
Gotta fight back or he'll stop it.
The problems that we had before with the pain pills and the alcohol, then it just doubled after the Pedapano fight.
An uninspired victory over Dan Christensen was followed by a crushing loss to Brandon Vera.
That night, I pretty much completely quit. I had told my wife, I was like, look, I got beat by a guy who shouldn't be a heavyweight, What the hell's going on? I'm like, this isn't me. That was me before the accident. I was the one catching everybody really fast and murdering people. Honestly, I gave up on myself at that point. I didn't have anything left to push myself forward.
I remember looking at him one time. He was drunk, passed out, pilled out on the bed, and I remember thinking, like, it'd be so easy just to pack my stuff up and move back home. But I remember thinking the type of person that he was before the accident, and he was still the same person, he just needed help.
Courage is like a well, right? Sometimes it runs dry. If I hadn't had listened to her, I probably wouldn't be here today. You need someone there that loves you to pick you up and, and protect you. That was her that kind of woke me up and pretty much just told me the things I've always lived by, but I had forgotten about.
Mir took 9 months away from fighting. He returned in August of 2007.
I gave him the Anthony Hardon fight. It was win this fight or you're out.
I think Frank Mir knows tonight is a do-or-die situation.
I was able to go out there confidently. I overcame my own demons inside and self-doubt.
Now he's got a Kimura on that side. This is bad for Hardon. Mir is on top of him. It is all over. Beautiful jiu-jitsu. It's back. He just said I'm back.
I'm freaking out and screaming. It was finally over with. Frank, our family, my husband, the father of my children.
And look at the reaction.
The man that I fell in love with and that I married, he's back.
Now you'll see Frank Mir.
6 months later, Mir took on rising star and future heavyweight champ Brock Lesnar. He was ambushed at the opening bell.
Earlier in my career, I don't know if I would have won that fight because I wasn't used to overcoming adversity.
He's in a dominant position now. He's in a lot of trouble. Mir is in trouble.
That's the one thing that I've learned now is that I know what it's like to overcome adversity. I was constantly moving around looking for something. The whole time I was taking shots, I'm looking for a way to take his arm off. And the first opportunity I saw on his leg, I took advantage of it.
It's going to be very difficult for him to pass the guard of Frank Mir. It's a very unusual guard. He's going for a blood knock.
If that's not the old Frank Mir, I don't know what is.
He's going back to how it was before. Testing his martial arts. Testing himself. And Nogueira is the biggest test that he could go up against.
He's standing in that way of that completion of that circle for me to resurrect completely from my death.
Up next, the battle for the belt.
But I know they submission me very well. It won't surprise me.
I'm not going to be submitted by Nogueira.
On December 27th, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira and Frank Mir, the 2 best heavyweight ground fighters in the world, will face off.
For a long time, I've been known as the submission guy for the UFC.
Very dangerous Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills.
Look at that, look at that.
Nogueira was known as a submission guy of pride. And now that he's the UFC interim champ, it poses an interesting battle.
When we go to the ground, we're going to show, the best techniques.
Nogueira has been in some great battles and wars and constitutes who he is. But, they take their toll. I see a guy who walks a little slower than he walked 5 years ago when I met him the first time. I see a guy who looks a little more in pain. So at what point is Nogueira in his career, is it going to all come crashing down?
But Mir knows that hurting Nogueira is one thing. Putting him away, quite another.
Everybody kicks Nogueira's ass at first and gets caught. That's his thing. You can't put him out. He's like a zombie. He's like Frankenstein. Every time you kill him, you think he's dead, he rises again. I'm worried about going into deep water with Nogueira. That's what I have to prepare for these upcoming months.
I think he's more dangerous in the first 3 minutes of the fight. But I'm going to attack him in the first 3 minutes.
That makes no sense. First 2 or 3 minutes, I kill everybody.
That was quick. That was impressive. Quick and it's over.
Why would you attack me at my strength? To prove a point? That makes no sense. You're the champ. You got nothing to prove except for to win the fight.
And he's going to lose his endurance, try to defend himself. If the fight goes to the ground, I'm going to try to submit him.
I'm not going to be submitted by Nogueira. If I get a hold of one of his limbs, his bones are going to break. His bones are no stronger than Tim's bones. I'll snap them off. And if he doesn't want to tap, that's fine. I'll break your arm and put it on my mantle.
I want to submit this guy so they will have no questions who is the best, fight in the world.
This fight's about me winning the title. I want that more than anything, and he's the guy standing in front of the door.
Whatever who comes to the octagon and try to keep that belt, take from me. I'm going to have a hard time. And I can see nobody can do that right now.
He's the guy standing in front of the door. To come through him is a storybook ending.
I'm going to win that fight.